Hey guys, it's Sam, and this is my 5-star TBR wrap-up and new predictions. So I am laughing so much about this because I was looking at my list and I was like, oh my god, is this video a year old? And it basically is. It took me a year to read these 5-star predictions. What? And also, when I made the original video, and I will link that on the screen or down below, I had this haircut. And then I grew my hair out, and then I cut it off, like right before this, you know, doing this. So time went by, and it's like time didn't even pass because I'm back to this look, which is how I'm supposed to look, by the way. But like, wild to me when I pulled up the video, and I was like, it was a year ago, and you have the same haircut again. What? But yeah, rough reading year. This is not like a yearly wrap-up video, just to kind of put this out there now in case you guys are not like OG subscribers. I do not do my yearly wrap-up videos for like all my reads and stuff until January. So if you are expecting anything in December, not gonna happen. But I do have some videos coming up talking about how much this reading year was just kind of like bleh. And this is kind of indicative of that. These were 5-star predictions. And it took me this long to finish all of them. I mean, most of them I did finish like a few months ago, and then it took me a very long time to read like the very last one on the list. But still, anyway, let's get into it. First for the predictions. And these are all 4- and 5-star predictions. So I've said in the recent iterations of these videos, this like little series, that I read very few 5-star books, like this year especially. I just counted and I'm like, wow. So these predictions are always like 4- and 5-star because that's also a really good book to me, so. See how I did. The first book was People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. This ended up being a 4-star. I didn't like this as much as I loved Beach Read. Beach Read was a 5-star book for me. This was a 4-star, still really enjoyed it, and still like a good prediction because I was correct, 4 stars. Then we have The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. This was 4.5 stars. I do believe I have a review for this, so I'll link that on the screen for more of my in-depth thoughts and discussion on it and everything. Very, very nearly a 5-star, but I do think that this book could have been broken into 2, and I would have enjoyed it much more as a duology, would have had more time for some things. Some things were a little bit rushed. So almost 5-star, 4.5. So a good prediction. Then we have Ancillary Sword by Ann Leckie. This is the second book, I think, in the Imperial Rocked trilogy. Yeah, second book. So what's so funny is I've read this whole trilogy now, and I had the second book as a 5-star prediction, and now I've finished the whole thing because it took me so long to finish all of these. This was a 4-star. I do believe I also have a review for this, so I'll link that on the screen if I do. This series was like, I was expecting so much more of it to be like space opera-y, and I wouldn't really say that it is. It's much more of like interactions and things, like personal interactions and how they affect a wider scope. And it's like a very weird book, but still really enjoyable. Really dug it. 4 stars. I did good. And this is the one that I kept putting off, and I don't know why because they're so easy to read and I really like this series, but that is The Rise of Empire by Michael J. Sullivan. This is the second book in the Right Area Revelation series. Really enjoyed it. This was also a 4-star, possibly even like 4.25. No, I think I like the first book slightly more, but this is just like a very fun adult fantasy series that is like very nostalgic feeling because it's more like classic fantasy. Like there's dwarves and elves and different kinds of like magic and alchemy and like it's sword and sorcery kind of things going on. So I really dug this, and yeah, solid 4 stars. And lastly, the only book that I read last year was The Fallen Kingdom by Elizabeth May. This was the final book in the Falconer trilogy. This was so long ago because it was last year that I read this. So I talked about this series like the end of last year. But this was not good. I did not enjoy it. It was not what I was hoping it would be. I was really hoping this would be like a sort of blow me away, take me by surprise, underhyped series. And for me, it was not. It was a 2.75 star book, sadly. So the only one that I predicted incorrectly. But overall, I did very well with 4 stars and above for this. So good job me. So now we have my next round of predictions. And these are all books that I own and that are already out. So I'm hoping I can get to these in like 6 months. We'll see. And honestly, a lot of these, I'm gonna say whether I predict they're gonna be a 4 or a 5. Okay? I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna challenge myself a bit. The first prediction is The Kingdom of Copper by S.A. Chakraborty. This is the second book in the Daevabad trilogy, which is a adult fantasy set in Cairo. Like, is it like 18th century Cairo? I forget. exactly, it's been a little bad. Part of me is like, do I reread the first book? But I'm not a big rereader, so I probably won't. And that'll take me even longer to get to this one. So hopefully just a little summary will be good enough for me to like remember. But I really dug the first book. I'm pretty sure the first book was a 5-star book. And I read it last year. Why did I say at the... I'm mad at myself. I said at the end of last year that I really want to get to this soon so I don't forget. And here I am like a year later being like, oops. Oh my God. But I really dug this. I'm thinking this is going to be a 5-star. Putting it out there. Another book I'm predicting will be a 5-star is The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. This is the second book in the Poppy War trilogy. I would say I remember more about the Poppy War than I do about the David Bott trilogy, but we'll see. This is another one that I wanted to read like sooner and then I didn't. I don't think I got these until my birthday though. So maybe that's part of the reason. But this is the second book in a adult grimdark fantasy inspired by a war, I think between like China and Japan, like Imperial China and Japan, I want to say. Very brutal, very dark, morally gray characters, a lot, but I really enjoyed the first book, and the first book was also a 5-star. So I'm thinking 5 stars. Then a 4-star prediction, although I'd love it to be 5. Chilling Effect by Valerie Valdez. This is a book that I picked up at one of the local bookstores when I've been doing my little like bookstore finding thing in Chicago. And this book, but I think the second book more so than the first book, but this series apparently gives people Mass Effect vibes, and I just felt that from like the cover. I believe, yeah, there's a cat. There's a cat and like a little astronaut. See, there's a couple of cats, which is just delightful, but it's like a crew and a ship and like Mass Effect-y type things. I don't really want to read the synopsis right now because I kind of just want to go in with like very little expectations besides just like Mass Effect vibes. So I'm hoping this is a solid 4-star. And then yeah, I've heard things about the second book, which is why I'm like extra into it. This was actually a book that was on, I think, like a most anticipated list for me, and then I like had forgotten about it, and then when I saw it in the bookstore I was like, oh, you. So it's come back into my life. And that is an adult book, adult sci-fi. If I didn't mention that, which I don't think that I did. Then we have another 4-star prediction. It's These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. This is the first book in a duology that's a Romeo and Juliet retelling, but very loose, set in 1920s Shanghai? Yes, 1920s Shanghai, between like a member of almost like a Chinese mafia, I think, and like a Russian, I want to say. Like both like, you know, rival families, kind of mob ties stuff going on. So I've heard a little bit of like mixed things, but mostly positive. So I'm thinking 4 stars. I like an angsty, like enemies to lovers kind of situation. So I think it could be good. And the last book is also a 4-star prediction. I just think it's gonna be a fun, good time. And I do want to try to read it before the end of the year. Will I? I don't know. I don't know. And that is Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare. This is the second book in the Last Hour series. So this is a series that takes place after her like Victorian London Shadowhunters world, the immortal, it's not the Mortal Instruments. The Infernal Devices takes place after that. This is in Edwardian England and with those people's like kids. It's cotton candy. It's fun. So I'm thinking let's be like a solid 4, because I think the first book, Chain of Gold, I want to say was a 4-star for me. I want to say like I generally enjoyed it. So I think this will be enjoyable as well for what it is and for what I'm expecting it to be. All right, so that is it for my 4- and 5-star TBR predictions. Comment below, let me know if you've read any of the books that I read in my last like wrap up and what you thought of them. If you've read any of these and what you thought, I'm like, where do you think these books are gonna land for me? I think I'm predicting accurately, but we will see. And hopefully I do this wrap up for this next round within 6 months. I would love that for me. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all guys soon. Bye.